And welcome back to the Survive Scale Soar Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy. And just a quick reminder, this show comes in two formats. We have Real Talk, where it's just me and the mic talking about what's happening in our world today and how that will impact your business. And we have Success Talks, which is the opportunity to talk with some of the top people in their respective fields. They share with you what has made them successful and maybe even some of the struggles along the way. And today is a success talk. And I am honored to have on the show a good friend of mine. We were just talking before the show. We have known each other now for 10 years. And it's Donald Thomson, real estate agent brokered by Keller Williams Realty, the Woodlands and Magnolia out in the Woodlands, Texas. Donald, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeremy. 10 years already.
10 years. And to have the common bond of being an Aggie too, that just makes this episode extra special and something somebody should tune into.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking. So I was at Champion School of Real Estate when I met you at a career fair, Keller Williams. You were at Keller Williams at that time, and you were one of the people that brought me to Keller Williams for sure. So, I'm still grateful for that.
Well, I'm glad to have you, and it's been fun to watch even from afar, watching you grow your business over the years. And I want to jump into that today. I think there's some great things that you can share with our listeners, and that's going to help them, finish out the year strong, but more importantly, have a great 2024. The market's a little bit different right now. I'm seeing some great things that are going to open it up a little bit here in the near future. And there's some things that we can be doing right now in our business, and you do them really, really well. So I want to talk to you today, Donald, about working your database. Tell me about your database and why it's so important to you.
Yeah. Our business is 99% referral based, and that comes from that database. I was fortunate. I grew up in Houston, so I had a lot of built-in people that I knew. You may remember I once sold ice hockey on the border of Mexico in Laredo, Texas. I used to be in the sports industry, sports business.
If you could sell ice hockey down there on the border, you could sell anything.
That's the idea, right? And so when I first moved back to Houston, I'd gone to Texas A&M for 2 degrees there and 5 years in Laredo. So I had been gone from the Houston area for a while. So the first thing I did, even while I was in training at Keller Williams, I got my phone out and looked at anybody and everybody that had a Houston connection in my contact list and just went down the list and used my new career as an excuse to reconnect. My phone call sounded something like, "Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. I just want to let you know I'm back here in Houston. I got a new career and I'm wanting to reconnect to let you know I'm back here in Houston. And before I could even get it out, what are you doing? What's your new career? Aren't you selling ice hockey on the border of Mexico?" When I told him I was in real estate, that just opened up a lot of doors. And remember the second person I ever called. There was a reason she was the second person I ever called. She was an attorney that I worked with in Laredo, and she had her principal office here in Houston. And I'll never forget it. She said, "Donald, that's great. My son just got word that he's being transferred from Austin to Houston. He'll be in town this weekend. Can you help him?" I'm like, "I'm just got out of training, but absolutely." I didn't say that out loud, but my database has been everything since the very beginning.
Yeah, and I want to point that out. I think a lot of times, I'll get asked that question as a coach. Somebody will say, "Well, what do I say?" And I think you just demonstrated how simple it was just to pick up the phone, get past the fear of doing that, make the call, and just say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing, and I'd love to have your support." A lot of times we'll make those calls. They're not making a decision right then, right? It's building that relationship and sticking with them over time before they might use you. So super simple. So you said 99% comes from your database. Are you using a particular platform or CRM to manage your data?
Yeah, I use what's called a referral maker CRM system that keeps track of. I have it open here right in front of my screen here. And the main things we do are calls, notes, and pop buys. So it's all about voice to voice and face to face and creating those voice to voice and face to face interactions. We talked about here at the end of the year what we do. Our biggest thing every year is we have a large client Christmas party. We call it a posada, kind of a Mexican themed posada at our house. Last year we had over 120 people come for that, including the kids. And it's not always about the party itself. The party is the reason to call. I always need, even though I'm very strong with my database, I know them, most of them I have a personal relationship with, I still struggle to make those calls too. It's hard for me to just call without a reason and just, hey, Jeremy, how's everything going with you in the house? I don't feel comfortable with that. I need a reason to call. So I'm either calling to invite them to something like this posada, or in the summer we have a movie night for our clients, or I'm trying to bring value. The last couple of weeks here in Texas, we had a big election that no one seemed to know about, where Proposition 4 was one of the big things on the ballot to drastically decrease our property taxes. I called every single client, every single person in my database one-on-one, and made sure they knew about this Proposition 4. So I'm bringing value or bringing education about the biggest asset they own. I've always said your financial advisor should call you once or twice a year to tell you what's going on with your financial retirement assets, right? Well, why don't we as realtors do that, or lenders do that for people with their biggest, most personal assets? So I always try to mix in a few calls a year talking about that and or inviting them to something.
So Donald, let me go back. Yeah, let me go back on that Proposition 4. That's brilliant. That's a great reason to call. Let me ask, how many people actually knew about Proposition 4 when you made the call?
Called over 100 in a couple of weeks. 5. I remember I was thinking it was about 4 or 5 because it was less than a handful. I actually knew about it, and that's just knowing about it. But okay, which one do I vote for? Is it a yes vote? Is it a no vote? All that, and they appreciated the fact that I would call and let them know something about their property taxes. I have no skin in that game. I'm not getting any pay for them doing it, but I'm looking out after their asset because here in Texas, our property taxes are high. So to get that down, they just appreciated that I was looking out for them for a way to save money on a product that I've already sold them. Is what really resonated with a lot of people. And yeah, like you said, most of them didn't even know about it.
Yeah, it gives you that genius factor when you call. It's like, oh my gosh, Donald knows everything, and they remember that value you bring. So when that time comes again, and they get that itch to buy, sell, or invest in something, who are they going to call? They're going to call the person that's informing them constantly.
Right, top of mind awareness. But I always talk about it's a 3-level thing. When someone's thinking about real estate or knows someone who's thinking about buying or selling real estate, yeah, it has to start with top of mind awareness, right? But it has to go beyond that. It's one thing to, oh yeah, Donald, this person's thinking about selling. Donald pops into mind, but they got to like you as well. It's one thing to say, yeah, Donald, he's a realtor. He's a real jerk. I'm not going to refer him. So they got to know about you, like you, but then believe that you're the right person to help them. That competency. It's one thing to think Donald, he's a good guy, but I don't know if he can really be the one that can help my mother. So
you got to overcome that jerk part. So gosh,
you can't overcome the jerk part. It don't matter how good you are. But so it's 3 level. But that's the relationship aspect of it. I mean, I'm a relational person by nature. I genuinely like my clients. They made a big impact on me as well. So yeah, I want to look out for that and bring them value to it. And sure, when the time comes, my philosophy is simple. If I take care of my clients like I would my own family, when the time comes for them or someone they know to buy or sell, yeah, I do expect them to think of me and refer me in that sense. So
yeah, I heard a great analogy today is when you have that client, it's like going out and planting a tree, and that tree then sprouts branches because you do such a great job for them that they refer you out to another person, then another person, and it multiplies over time. So I like to think about it as out here planting all these trees.
Yep. We have one client, let's call them the Smiths. Before they even bought or sold a house, they referred me quite a few clients. Well, those clients that they referred me to have referred me to other clients. So I always call it the Smith tree. Okay, from this Smith tree, this one seed, it has grown these different branches. And now those people they referred have referred others. So their branches are growing, all started with one referral from them. So
that's amazing.
It takes time. You got to be intentional about that. It's organic in that nature to grow that, and you got to keep in touch and do the right things. You mess up one of those deals, it's over. My biggest goal is so Jeremy, if you refer me to somebody, my biggest goal would be for the person that you referred to me to call you back and say, Jeremy, thank you for referring me to DT. He really took care of us and went above. That's my job. Because if they call you and say, Jeremy, why the heck did you refer me to this DT guy? Hey, you're never going to refer me again. That's your reputation on the line. So I take that very, very seriously, yet we have fun with our clients. One of the things when we started to build the business a little bit, we always did traditional celebratory photos in front of their house. We'd have the sold sign, and we're not just sitting here. So we're jumping in the air, we're chest bumping, sold sign. And it was two things. I wanted to put it on Facebook or social media for people to say, man, Donald sold in their house. He must be, pretty good at what he does, but man, his clients look like they have fun with him. And that really was the way I started it out, was just posting those celebratory photos, tagging the person. Other people could, their friends could see it, and it just kind of came to spread through that.
So I think, Donald, the people that are listening in and know you, can you say that the airtime that you had in some of those earlier photos, do you have the same airtime now? Because I've seen those photos and they're amazing.
Yeah, my vertical is not quite what it was, nor is my hang time. But I still got it, Jay. I'm only 42. I can still get up, and if it wasn't for my son, I work out with my son 2-3 times a week in the morning. He keeps me in shape. I'll tell you that.
There you go. Well, I think this kind of leads to an interesting conversation, in that I know you have some tech in the background that's kind of working to support your business. And there's a lot of companies out there, even the company that you work for, that there's a heavy push with tech. Yet I'm seeing the agents that I'm coaching that spend more time in their database and more relational and using just the tech to support it, not run the business, are having more success. Is that what you're experiencing?
Yeah, I'm not super high tech myself. I'm just getting into LinkedIn a little bit more, for crying out loud. But it goes back to, we're so busy with what's in our phone. And I think ever since COVID, not to get too deep with it, but people have become more introverted, more reclusive in their nature. And how many calls do you get from people just calling to check in with you besides your mom and grandma, maybe, kind of thing?
Not a lot. Yep.
It goes back to we're human, we're wired for connection, and to have those face-to-face, voice-to-voice interactions. Yeah, maybe leading with a real estate related thing, because I want to respect people's time and do all that, but we get into those conversations and build those relationships about the family, the kids. They know about my family and kids. A lot of my clients have met my family. Of course, my wife is licensed with me. She's a part of my team, and we got her. You just never want to be a transactional realtor where you're on to the next. And a lot of clients feel that way. And as realtors, we don't intend to do that. We're talking to them every day during that transaction. All of a sudden, the transaction closes, and most realtors, they're on to the next one. And I don't think they do it by just by nature, but we got to remember those clients, and not reaching back out to those clients after the closing almost makes them feel like they're being used. Well, gosh, Donald was my best friend for the whole thing, and then after it closed, I never heard from him. We don't want that.
Yeah, it's almost like a bad breakup. Hey, I thought things were going good,
Yeah.
and Donald left me.
I'm big on group text with my clients, with the husband and wife. We do a lot of group text. So sometimes if it's been a few weeks after a closing and I followed up with them to see how everything's going, but sometimes I miss our group text. I just want to call and, have fun in the group text again. And, but no, it's back to the basics. It's breaking bread. I love having coffees or breakfast with my clients and just seeing them. But it has to come from a genuine state, and it does. Now, do I talk and keep in touch with every single past client we've ever had? Not necessarily, right? But the majority we do, and it comes from a genuine relational aspect of it.
Do you work a system? Is there like a top 50, top 100? Is there some sort of system to help you manage that? Because I know, especially with an agent that's been in the business 10 years, your database can get really big, and it's a little more difficult to manage.
Yeah, our CRM system asks us to rate, like I said, clients. So we have A+, A, Bs, and A+ is probably someone who has used us and or referred us multiple clients in maybe a year span. An A, maybe 1 or 2. A B is maybe someone who's used us in the past but hasn't quite referred. A C is someone that we feel like could be a potential client or could have the potential to refer. So yeah, there are rankings in that way. Do I follow it where I hit my A+ more than my A's? It's probably pretty consistent all the way through, to be honest, on it. I don't really look at him as, hey, this guy's an A+, so he's more important to me than this. I'm just not wired that way. But per a ranking in the CRM, there are rankings for those kind of things.
How much time do you spend in your CRM? You talk about adding notes and making these calls and following up with people, or maybe you go out to a breakfast and you come back and update your CRM. How often are you touching that?
So it's always open. I'm looking at my computer here to my right, and it's one of my tabs that's always open to kind of go in. Do I enter stuff into the CRM every day? Maybe not. I have a call where I'll maybe take a little few notes, and then maybe it's on a Saturday morning, or maybe later that evening, I'll go back and just enter those notes, because it's important to me to realize, okay, when's the last time I touched them? What did we talk about? Oh, that's right, they had that baby on the way. So I do try to do that. I learned that in the sports industry business when we were selling ticket sales, season ticket sales. Ticket sales reps were a revolving door of that. So we had to have a record. The way the CRM guy told us is, hey, if you were to be let go or just move on, the next ticket sales rep who gets that client, how will they know anything about that client unless you enter that data into that CRM? So I'm pretty thorough, detail-oriented kind of person to begin with. So that's something that I actually enjoy doing. So I'm pretty on top of it. Do I enter every single activity in there? Probably not, but I'd like to think the majority of it, because that's my book of business and I need to stay on top of it.
What are you most passionate about? What do you like doing most as a lead generation method for your business? Is it the events? What is it you enjoy most?
Probably so. Because again, I'm relational, so I like that face to face. Our favorite thing is our annual Christmas posada party, and we go all out. My wife's really good about coordinating that stuff. Like I said, it's here at her house. We get 50 dozen tamales. My wife's making a bunch of pozole. And boy, if you never had pozole, Jeremy, I'm telling you, especially my wife's. We got Santa, piñata, and it's just creating an event where people can come to your home. It's more unique. And I really learned that working down on the border in Laredo. I remember being invited to a person's home one time for a dinner. And especially in that Hispanic culture, that's a very big honor to be able to receive that and to be invited. So we've always wanted a home that we could invite people into ourselves and have that. And this year we did a movie night. We rented out a movie theater. It was the Indiana Jones premiere. We had those. That was always fun. I was decked out as Indiana Jones. People thought I was actually Indiana Jones, right? You can't really blame them, right? But
I see it.
Those are my favorite things. And then just the calls. I like calling people and telling them about this Proposition 4 where they can save taxes. That's fulfilling to me, knowing that it's helping them, especially in these times where it's high inflation, high cost, high insurance, high taxes. If there's a way that we can save that, I want them to know that. That makes me feel good.
You've been in the business now 10 years and you've had a lot of success. I've watched you from afar. You're a successful agent, top agent.
Thank you.
What do you think has been your biggest challenge and how did you overcome that?
I guess the biggest challenge to start with is just starting. You hear a lot of people say, I could have made more money flipping burgers my first year or so selling real estate. It's just getting out of that comfort zone and making those initial calls and putting yourself out there, being a little vulnerable to put yourself out there to make those calls and reconnect with people without the drunk monkey on your shoulder making it seem like you're a salesman. You're just bothering them. It's getting over that call reluctance to call, but having value when you do call. And now I would say it's one of the most challenging times in the business too. You got record high interest rates, slowed demand, a lot of stuff going on there, and it's a challenge too. But you keep building into that database, you can overcome it. But there's always seasonal. Sometimes you have issues with clients, but just the start, getting over the hump and getting over the call reluctance mentality to just get out there and connect. People need to hear from you. And if you're calling with value, you should call. So I think those are always the day-to-day struggles of connecting.
If there's one piece of advice, whether it be a seasoned agent or a new agent, just based on your observation of what's happening in our markets today, what is one piece of advice that you could share to help move them closer towards their goals?
I mean, I'm sorry to keep sounding like a broken record, but it is to dive into that database and don't deflect away from it. I mean, your database, if you've been in the business long enough, is your gold. And, you don't want to go out and run and hide. It's kind of like if a big company is undergoing a big PR issue, what they say is get out in front of it and control the narrative of those kind of things. So just staying in front, you have to find your database of champions that are going to then get you. And when you do get those clients, you have to treat them like they are your own family. They are everything to you, because if you do it right, the referrals and repeat business will come. So it's something new. But the biggest piece of advice is grow that database. And if you don't have a database, your job is to grow a database, go and meet people, whether that's networking, whatever it may be, but be genuine in that, and look at it from their perspective of, what do they need from me? If you, like Zig Ziglar always said, he'll help enough people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want, kind of thing. And it's that mindset. We're servers. I used to be a waiter. We are serving that client and looking out for their best interests in a world where everything's skeptical and people wonder what the value of an agent is and all those kind of things. A person who really understands it, they get it.
And when I asked that question, I knew that was going to be your answer. And I asked it specifically because I knew that would be your answer. So those are listening today, if you don't have a database, you don't have a business. And like Donald said, go grow one. Go make one happen. If you're a seasoned agent, make sure that you're nurturing it. Make sure that you're adding and feeding it constantly. It is your business. And if you don't have one or you're not nurturing it, it's gonna die off and not serve you well. So I asked that on purpose, and you got the right answer. So you get an A+ today.
Well, let me add to this. Like I said, I always need a reason to call, right? And you can't be doing the same things over and over, just inviting them to parties. You got to bring value. Biggest thing that turned our business around was hiring a coach. So we got a business real estate coach who, 10 years in the business, it's more of like, hey, I know what I need to do. I need to learn how to hit this outside curveball a little bit better. So it's refining, it's the mindset, motivations, and methodologies of success. And we all need coaches. Even professional baseball players need coaches to refine us and develop us, not get set in our ways and habits, and pushing us and holding us accountable and doing those things. But just a different objective mindset of, hey, have you thought about doing this? I mean, the whole Posada idea, which is our most successful event every year, that came from my coach. They probably never thought about something like that. And that's one of the most successful things we do, just like the movie night, everything else. So the coach is who kind of continues to develop, because you can get stale in this business just doing the same thing over and over, and you're wondering why you're getting less traction. It's the developing and constant refining that a coach brings from that outside perspective. And especially if you can find a coach who is really coaching you to your personalities and your strengths, how you would coach me would be very different than how you would coach the next person. So that's huge. That's been our big thing since about 2018. And we saw our business really jump up since that point. So that'd be the other thing. And it's not a cost thing, it's an investment thing, is what I would say.
I appreciate that. And for you to say it, not me, I think that's powerful, because there's a lot of people that I'll have those conversations with and they don't understand it necessarily coming from a coach. But when they have somebody that has success, and it's because of the coach that's helped them, and the coach is just there, right? The coach is the igniter. At the end of the day, Donald still has to do the work, still has to do the business. But it does get you to see with a different perception, different lens when you look out into the world and can kind of make changes. It's just moving the needle sometimes. Really big things could happen. So thank you for sharing that. Donald, I appreciate you being on here today, but I want people to know how they can connect with you. Maybe they're looking at buying, selling, or investing in a home. What areas do you serve, and how can they connect?
So I'm in the Tomball, Woodland, Cypress area myself. Our office is in Woodland, so it's mostly Northwest Houston, but we were talking before the call. We have a listing out in the Tascasita, Humble area. So we do go all over, but I would say our main niche is Northwest Houston. You can always find me just through my website. So we're the DT team. Does not stand for the Donald Thomson team. DT stands for dedicated, trustworthy. So the DT team, and if you ever Google me, the story of my life, my last name is Thompson, but I do not have a P in my last name. So if you Google Donald Thomson and spell it normally, there's actually another realtor named Donald Thomson in Houston. Wrong person. So our website, thedtteam.com, is probably the best way.
Well, Donald, thank you again for being on the show today and all the information you shared, taking time out of your schedule. I know right before we got on, you're hard at work negotiating for your clients, and you're right in the midst of that. So to be able to take the time out to do this, I know you're going to bless some of the people that listen to this. They're going to hear something today that's going to spark something in their world to get them on a path so that they can have the success that you're having in your business. So thank you again.
I'd love that. Thank you. You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right. Until next time, onward and upward.
Yes. Yegum.